Okay, 7.4, this is linear systems and problem solving. Students will be able to use linear systems to solve real life problems. So basically 7.4 is a lot of using what we've been doing with systems of equations, solving for those systems of equations, but now we're doing it with word problems. And I got a way that I like to set up word problems here, is that I always like to make a box similar to this, and where I have my totals in the right column, and then I'm going to have two equations, one here and one here, and I'm going to have my, whatever corresponds to, my a or my x, or one of my variables is going to go here, and the other variable is going to go here, and it's going to be set up nicely. So let's read this problem and see how we would do it. In 1 week, a music store sold 7 violins for a total of 1,600. Okay, so right away, we have a total of 7 violins and a total of 1,600s. Those numbers are probably going to go here, but let's keep reading. 2 different types of violins were sold. One type cost $200, and the other type cost $300. How many of each type of violin did the store sell? Okay, yeah, those are our totals right there. So let me zoom in. It said we sold a total of 7 violins. And we have a first type, which I call type A. We have a second type, which I call type B. And we're going to say A plus B equals 7, right? So however many A's I sold plus however many B's I sold will equal 7. Okay, the next total I saw was $1,600, right? That's how much total money I brought in. So total is $1,600. And they said the first type of violins cost $200 each. So let's just make that my A. So 200 times A represents how much money I brought in from the first type. And the second type is 300 times B, because they said those are $300 each. Set this thing up, and now I have 2 equations. I have A plus B equals 7, and 200A plus 300B equals 1,600. Now, if we wanted to, we can use elimination. We can multiply everything here by negative 200 and cancel out. We could also do substitution. I think when I have an equation with no coefficients in front of my variables, the numbers in front of the variables, I think it's easier to do substitution. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take this equation, this A plus B equals 7, and I'm going to solve for A by subtracting B from both sides, giving me A equals 7 minus B. Take that and plug it into this bigger equation, so I get 200 times 7 minus B plus 300B equals 1,600. 200 times 700 is 1,400, and then 200 times negative B is negative 200B plus 300B. Try to make that look more like a B, not a 13. And 1,600. Okay. These two guys combine, right? I have a negative 200, positive 300, and I get a 100B. And I'm actually going to subtract this 1,400 from both sides so that I can get rid of it on one side. Cancel. Cancel. 1,600 minus 1,400 is 200. And I'm going to divide both sides by 100. And I get that B equals 2. Well, if B equals 2, and I plug it back in here, 7 minus 2 would be 5. So I got A equals 5. So I sold 5 of the first type and 2 of the second type to make a whopping $1,600. So that's how we do problems like that. Let's do the next one. Okay, before I even read this problem, I know that it's a mixture problem, or it's a systems of equation problem. So I'm going to go ahead and make my box, just because I know this is helpful, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to use it. I'm going to have some total over here, and I know I'm going to have 2 equations down here. Okay. It says you combine 2 solutions to form a mixture that is 40% acid. One solution is 20% acid, and the other is 50% acid. If you have 90 milliliters of the mixture, how much of each solution was used to create the mixture? Okay. This is kind of confusing at first, but let's think about this. Do I have any totals? I have a couple totals. I know that the total is going to be 90 milliliters, and the total is going to be 40% acid. So first let's do the one that has to do with 90 milliliters. Well, if I have a total of 90 milliliters, that means that my first solution plus my second solution would add up to be 90 milliliters. That's it. The second total was 40%, right? They said 40% or 0.4 is going to be acid. Well, let's figure out how much of it is acid. And remember, it's 0.4 of my total, which is 90. So 0.4 times 90 is 36. And that's where I'm going to get my total. That's how much acid in milliliters of acid I'm going to have. Okay, let's read the question again. They said the first solution is 20% acid. So let's say instead of, I had so much of solution A. Oops, I meant to just highlight that. Okay, so I had so much of solution A, right? However much that is, 20% of it is acid. So let's do a 0.2 for 20 A. And then I have so much of solution B. However much I have, 50% of that is acid. So let's do 0.5 B. And together, that should make a total of 36 milliliters that are acid. Okay. Again, we could do systems of equations, but I think the easiest, we could do elimination to solve this systems equation, but I think the easiest is to use substitution since there's no coefficients here. So I'm going to just solve for A. I'm going to subtract B from both sides. So I'm going to say A equals 90 minus B. I'm going to plug that right in there, so I get 0.2 times 90 minus B plus 0.5 B equals 36. 0.2 times 9, I believe that's 18, minus 0.2B plus 0.5B equals 36. These two things combine to be 0.3B, and I'd actually subtract 18 from both sides, making these guys cancel out and just giving me 18. And lastly, I have a 0.3 and a 0.3, so I'm going to divide both sides by 0.3. And when I divide 18 by 0.3, I get 60. So I have 60 milliliters of solution B. Let's go back up to my equation. If I have 60 milliliters of B, and I have A plus B equals 90, well, how much A do I have? I must have 30, right? 30 plus 60 equals 90. So A, or my amount of solution I have for the first one, is 30 milliliters. And there we go. We've made a complex word problem into something totally doable. Okay. I have two problems here. The first one is like the first example, and the second one is like the second example. I want you guys to try it on your own, but I'm going to actually skip forward for the sake of making this video not super long. But the answers, we went over them in class, and you can check with me. I don't actually have them right now while I'm making the video, so you can check with me later to see if you got that right, if you didn't already do it in class. Okay. Let's do this problem, because this one's a tad different. This one says that I have two job offers, basically, and the first job offers an annual salary of $30,000. So let's say we have $30,000 plus a bonus of 1%. Well, 1% was like 0.01 of sales, and let's just make my sales X. So 0.01X. This would be the total salary for job A. The second job, job B, offers an annual salary of $24,000 plus a 2% bonus of sales. And it says, how much would you have to sell in order to earn the same amount in each job? Well, if I'm going to have to be, sorry, let me say this again. If I'm going to have the same amount earned in job A as in job B, that means that these two things are going to be equal, right? My two salaries are going to be equal. So I can take this equation and just set it equal to this equation. That's really what they want to know. So let's do it. 30,000 plus 0.01x equals 24,000 plus 0.02x. All right, looking at this, I have a 30 and a 24. I think 24 is going to be easier to attack, so I'm going to subtract 24,000. Cancels that out. I have a 0.01 and a 0.02. I think the smaller number, again, will be easier to attack, so I'm going to subtract 0.01 from both sides, making these guys cancel out. And 30,000 minus 24,000 is 6,000. And 0.02 minus 0.01 is 0.01. Last step, divide by 0.01, divide by 0.01. And just plug that into my calculator and see what I get back. I am doing this off of memory, but I'm pretty sure then that x should equal 600,000. And if you think about that, that's $600,000 in sales for us to earn. And if we want to figure out what our annual salary is, we can take that 600,000, plug it into one of these equations. I'm going to put the top one because I know that it's easier. Because if 6 grand divided by 0.01 is 600, then 600 times 0.01 is 6,000. So just do that in blue real quick. So we have 30,000 plus 6,000, making my total salary be 36,000. So not a great salary for a sales job, but there you go. Okay, and I think that's it for this video. So I'll do 7.5. I'll post that up over the weekend. Okay, adios.